Picture this. You wake up one morning in ancient Pompeii. You're sipping your Roman coffee, complaining about gladiator ticket prices, and admiring that peaceful mountain in the distance. Mount Vesuvius, they call it. Pretty name. Beautiful views. Great for Instagram, if Instagram existed 2,000 years ago. Then suddenly, boom. That charming mountain just turned into nature's angriest microwave oven, shooting superheated rock 20 miles into the sky and turning your entire city into the world's most tragic time capsule. But here's the plot twist that'll mess with your head. Fast forward to today, and that same area around Vesuvius, it's some of the most fertile, gorgeous, wine-producing land in all of Italy. So what's the deal here? Are volcanoes Earth's ultimate destroyers? Or are they actually the planet's most violent life coaches? Let's find out. Volcanoes don't mess around when they decide to lose their temper. They're like that friend who bottles up their feelings for months and then explodes at you for using their Netflix password. Except instead of passive-aggressive texts, they launched 1,000-degree death balls through the air. Take Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. This thing didn't just erupt. It went full apocalypse mode. The explosion shot a column of ash and pumice 33 kilometers high. That's twice the height commercial planes fly. 1.5 million tons of molten rock per second got hurled into the atmosphere. To put that in perspective, that's like launching the weight of 1,500 cars every single second. The energy released was 100,000 times more powerful than the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined. The people of Pompeii had no idea what hit them. 1 minute they're going about their Roman business. The next minute, their entire world is getting buried under 6 feet of ash and pumice. The pyroclastic flows, these superheated avalanches of gas and rock, moved at speeds of over 100 miles per hour, with temperatures reaching 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot enough to instantly vaporize human flesh. No joke. And the sound. Oh my God, the sound. When Krakatoa blew its top in 1883, the explosion was heard over 3,000 miles away. People in Australia heard it. People in Africa heard it. The sound waves traveled around the entire planet 7 times. Imagine the loudest concert you've ever been to, then multiply that by about 1,000. That's a volcanic eruption throwing a fit. But Krakatoa didn't stop at just being loud. This Indonesian volcano killed 36,000 people in a single day. The tsunamis it generated were over 100 feet tall and wiped entire islands off the map. The ash cloud was so massive, it blocked out the sun for months, creating these incredible blood-red sunsets all around the world. People in London were posting about these weird orange skies on their, well, whatever the 1883 version of social media was. Probably very fancy letters. Volcanoes don't just erupt, they absolutely demolish reality. When Mount Tambora exploded in Indonesia, in 1815, it literally changed the weather across the entire planet for 3 years. The explosion was so violent, it ejected 160 billion tons of rock, ash, and gas into the atmosphere. That's roughly the equivalent of 66 million dump trucks worth of volcanic fury launched into the sky. The aftermath was biblical. Global temperatures dropped so much that 1816 became known as the year without a summer. Crops failed worldwide. People were literally starving in Europe because an Indonesian mountain decided to have a bad day. Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein during this gloomy summer because it was too dark and cold to go outside. So technically, we have volcanic tantrums to thank for one of the greatest horror novels ever written. Modern volcanoes are still throwing these world-changing fits. When Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines erupted in 1991, it injected 20 million tons of sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere. The entire planet cooled by about 1 degree Fahrenheit for 2 years. Airlines had to reroute flights because volcanic ash turns jet engines into very expensive paperweights. The eruption was so massive that NASA could track the ash cloud as it circled the globe multiple times. But wait until you hear what else these explosive drama queens do. Here's where Volcanoes flip the script entirely. All that destruction we just talked about, it's not random chaos. It's actually Earth's version of extreme home makeover, and the results are absolutely mind-blowing. Let's talk about Hawaii. Every single one of those picture-perfect tropical islands that make your Instagram feed look boring. Pure volcano construction. The entire Hawaiian island chain is basically a 1,500-mile-long receipt showing exactly where the Pacific Plate moved over a volcanic hotspot for the past 80 million years. Each island is a different chapter in this geological love story, with the newest islands still actively building themselves, while the older ones have settled into tropical retirement. Kilauea volcano alone has added over 500 acres of new land to Hawaii's Big Island just since 1983. That's like getting a free half section of beachfront property courtesy of Earth's underground construction crew. And the soil that forms from all that lava, it's like plant steroids mixed with Miracle-Gro. The volcanic soil around Mount Etna in Sicily is so incredibly fertile that it produces some of Europe's most amazing wines and citrus fruits. This soil can hold water like a super-absorbent sponge, releases nutrients slowly over time like a premium fertilizer subscription service, and even helps plants resist diseases. The ash that seems so deadly actually breaks down into potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, and a whole cocktail of minerals that make plants go absolutely bonkers with growth. Iceland, that entire country that looks like it was designed by someone who really loves hot springs and dramatic landscapes, also pure volcano work. The geothermal energy from all that underground volcanic activity heats homes, powers cities, and creates those incredible hot springs where people sit around looking all zen and relaxed. Only a volcano can threaten to kill you with lava and then hand you a spa and renewable electricity like no hard feelings. Here's the plot twist: volcanoes also create paradise from scratch. Yeah, those same fire-breathing death mountains that terrorize entire civilizations. Give them a minute to cool down and they turn into actual vacation destinations. The Canary Islands, where Europeans go to escape their depressing winters. Volcanic construction. Santorini, that Greek island with the white buildings and blue roofs that everyone uses as their laptop wallpaper. Volcano built. The entire thing is basically the rim of a massive volcanic crater that filled with seawater. People pay thousands of dollars to honeymoon inside what used to be an exploding mountain. And those black sand beaches in places like Hawaii and Iceland that look like something from another planet. That's pulverized volcanic rock. The lava flows into the ocean, the thermal shock shatters it into tiny pieces, and boom, you've got beaches that look like they were designed by aliens with really good taste. But it gets even weirder. The most fertile agricultural regions on Earth are often located right next to active volcanoes. People literally fight over the rights to farm volcanic soil because it's that good. The areas around Mount Vesuvius, the same mountain that turned Pompeii into a time capsule, now produce some of Italy's most prized tomatoes and wine grapes. Now here's the part that'll completely blow your mind. After volcanoes torch absolutely everything, life doesn't just slowly creep back. It comes back stronger, weirder, and more diverse than it was before. Mount St. Helens in 1980 looked like someone had set off a nuclear bomb. Everything for miles was gray, dead, and covered in ash that looked like the aftermath of the world's most depressing snowstorm. Scientists thought it would take decades, maybe centuries, for anything to grow back. They were wrong. Way wrong. Within just a few months, tiny green shoots started poking through the ash like little middle fingers to destruction. Insects showed up like they'd received personal invitations to the world's most exclusive reopening party. Birds followed the bugs. Small mammals followed the birds. And before anyone knew it, this desolate wasteland was turning into the most happening wildlife party on the West Coast. The secret weapon? The buried soil underneath all the ash was like a hidden treasure chest of nutrients and microorganisms. As the volcanic ash settled and mixed with the buried soil, it created this supercharged growing medium that plants couldn't resist. The ash acted like a protective blanket, holding in moisture and slowly releasing nutrients as it weathered. Scientists studying the recovery were absolutely stunned. They expected maybe some scrubby weeds to show up first, followed by a slow progression back to something resembling the original forest. Instead, they got ecological chaos in the best possible way. Pioneer species that weren't even native to the region started showing up. Animals that had never lived there before moved in and made themselves at home. The entire ecosystem basically said, forget the old plan. Let's try something completely different. The same resurrection story plays out everywhere volcanoes strike. The island of Surtsey, off the coast of Iceland, literally emerged from the ocean in 1963 during a volcanic eruption. It started as a pile of steaming rock in the middle of the Atlantic. Today, it's a thriving ecosystem home to over 60 species of birds and 300 different types of insects and spiders. Life found a way to colonize a brand new island faster than most people can figure out their Netflix passwords. But wait, there's more. Volcanoes don't just mess around locally. They're actually Earth's climate control system, and they're not afraid to use it. When Krakatoa exploded in 1883, it didn't just ruin everyone's day in Indonesia. It injected 20 million tons of sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere. That stuff mixed with water vapor to form these tiny particles that spread around the entire planet, like the world's most effective air conditioning system. Global temperatures dropped by about 0.5 degrees Celsius for several years. That might not sound like much, but that's enough to change weather patterns worldwide. The northern hemisphere had unusually cold winters. Monsoon patterns shifted, affecting agriculture across Asia and Africa. And those famous Krakatoa sunsets that people were Instagramming before Instagram existed, those lasted for 3 years. Modern volcanoes are still running this global climate show. Scientists actually study these eruptions to understand how we might artificially cool the planet if climate change gets too crazy. Volcanoes are basically showing us how to hack the weather, except their method involves significantly more explosions and death than most climate scientists would recommend. And if you think these are isolated incidents, think again. Welcome to the Ring of Fire, the most volcanically active neighborhood on planet Earth. This 25,000-mile horseshoe of volcanic and seismic activity around the Pacific Ocean is home to over 450 volcanoes and produces about 90% of the world's earthquakes. In 2025 alone, we've already had 46 volcanoes actively erupting worldwide as of August. That's not a once-in-a-lifetime event. That's Tuesday. The Ring of Fire stretches from the southern tip of South America up the western coast of North America, across the Bering Strait, down through Japan, and into New Zealand. It's like Earth drew a circle around the Pacific and said, this is where all the exciting stuff happens. The most recent major activity was the magnitude 8.8 earthquake near Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula in July 2025. This thing was so powerful, it triggered tsunami warnings across the entire Pacific, from Russia to Japan to the United States. And that was just the warm-up act. Scientists are currently predicting that the axial seamount, an underwater volcano 300 miles off the Oregon coast, is due for an eruption any day now. So what's really going on here? Volcanoes have figured out the ultimate life hack. They've discovered that sometimes you have to burn everything down to build something better. It's like that friend who convinces you to completely redecorate your apartment by first setting it on fire. Terrifying in the moment, but the results speak for themselves. These fiery mountains have been the architects of our planet for billions of years. They built the continents we live on. They created the atmosphere we breathe. They formed the ocean floors we swim above. Without volcanoes, Earth would just be a smooth, boring water ball with no land, no mountains, and definitely no place to build our coffee shops and argue about pineapple on pizza. But volcanoes aren't just construction workers. They're also life coaches. The carbon dioxide they release helps regulate Earth's temperature over millions of years. The minerals they bring up from deep inside the planet become the building blocks for new ecosystems. The dramatic landscapes they create provide homes for evolution to get creative with new species. Take the Galapagos Islands, where Charles Darwin figured out how evolution works. Every single one of those islands that inspired our understanding of life itself. Pure volcano construction. The unique environments created by volcanic activity provided the isolated laboratories where finches developed different beaks, tortoises grew different shells, and Darwin had his mind blown by the creativity of life. Here's the wild truth about volcanoes. They're simultaneously the most destructive and creative forces on our planet. They can wipe out entire civilizations in hours, but they also create the conditions for life to flourish like nowhere else on Earth. They're nature's ultimate paradox, proving that destruction and creation aren't opposites. They're dance partners in the ongoing choreography of life. In the areas around active volcanoes, you'll find some of the most fertile farmland, the most diverse ecosystems, and the most stunning landscapes on the planet. Over 1 billion people choose to live within range of active volcanoes, not because they have a death wish, but because volcanic regions offer some of the best living conditions on Earth. The next time you see news about a volcanic eruption, remember that you're not just watching destruction, you're watching Earth write the next chapter in a 4.5 billion-year-old story of creative chaos. That terrifying explosion might be tomorrow's tropical paradise. That devastating ash cloud could be the foundation for the next great wine region. Those deadly lava flows might become the beaches where your grandchildren learn to surf. Volcanoes prove that sometimes the most beautiful things in life come from the most dramatic beginnings. They're Earth's reminder that endings are just beginnings in disguise, and that sometimes you have to shake things up violently to make room for something incredible. So the next time you're having a bad day, remember the volcanoes. They've mastered the art of turning complete disaster into absolute paradise. And if a mountain can figure that out, maybe there's hope for the rest of us too. Have you ever been close to an active volcano or experienced volcanic activity? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed learning about how destruction and creation are actually best friends in disguise, make sure to subscribe to Weirdly Brilliant for more mind-bending science that'll change how you see the world. Trust me, we're just getting started with the weird and wonderful ways our planet keeps surprising us.